Understanding the Valentinian Myth. The Valentinian Myth, as preserved in the Nag Hammadi Library and translated by John D. Turner, reveals a profound cosmological narrative rich with symbolic meaning and theological complexity. At its core, this myth unfolds the divine drama of emanations from the ineffable Deity, the nature of the Pleroma, and the relationship between spiritual and material realms. When interpreted alongside psychological and political analogies, it gains an additional layer of meaning, helping to understand not only cosmic realities, but the dynamics of human experience and societal structures. Divine pairing and psychological political analogy. The Valentinian myth is structured around pairs, syzygies, of divine principles or hypostases, which correspond to opposing or complementary aspects within human psychology and social life. Divine pairing, psychological political analogy, of divine principles or hypostases. Silence and speech, the hidden mystery versus public declaration, monad and dyad, unity and relation, Sophia and her consort, feminine and masculine, wisdom and order. Jesus and Christ, inner savior and outer manifestation, spirit and flesh, spiritual awareness versus material bondage, Pleroma and Cosmos, fullness versus lack, reality versus illusion. Each pairing encapsulates a dynamic tension central to Valentinian thought. Silence and speech, the hidden mystery versus the public declaration. The myth begins with the monad, the root of the all, dwelling alone in silence, and silence is tranquility. This silence represents the ineffable, hidden source of all existence, the ineffable deity whose essence is beyond human speech or comprehension. He dwells in the dyad and in the pair, and his pair is silence. And as for intention and persistence, love and permanence, they are indeed unbegotten. Here, silence symbolizes the unknowable mystery of the divine, contrasted with speech, which is the manifestation or revelation of that mystery. This dynamic echoes the psychological process where deep truths remain hidden in the unconscious and become known through conscious articulation, speech. Politically, it reflects the tension between secret knowledge held by elites and the public proclamations that structure society. Monad and dyad, unity and relation. The monad is the one, the singular root, whereas the dyad introduces relation, division, and the possibility of interaction. He dwells in the dyad and in the pair, the root of the all and monad without anyone before him. This duality is fundamental. Unity alone is static, but relation enables creation and movement. Psychologically, the monad is the individual self in unity, while the dyad reflects relationships, dialogue, and otherness. Politically, it parallels the tension between centralized authority and pluralistic engagement. Sophia and her consort, feminine and masculine, wisdom and order. Sophia, meaning wisdom, and her consort form a crucial divine pair, representing complementary forces. Sophia and Jesus revealed the creature. Sophia and Jesus worked together. She knew what she was and what had become of her. Sophia's fall and suffering symbolize the feminine principle's estrangement and quest for restoration. Her consort represents the masculine principle of order and complementarity. Psychologically, this is the interplay between intuitive wisdom and rational structuring. Politically, it is the tension between creative freedom and institutional order. Jesus and Christ, inner savior and outer manifestation. In the myth, Jesus and Christ represent a syzygy of inner spiritual reality and its outward expression. And these, for their part, sent Christ forth to establish her just as they were established before her descent. Jesus embodies the incarnate presence descending into matter, while Christ is the divine fullness that accompanies and empowers this manifestation. Psychologically, Jesus represents the personal, experiential Savior, while Christ is the universal divine principle. Politically, this reflects the individual leader and the transcendent ideal or doctrine they embody. Spirit and flesh, spiritual awareness versus material bondage. The Valentinian myth also distinguishes between spirit and flesh, reflecting the dual nature of humanity as both spiritual and material beings. He separated them from one another, and the better passions he introduced into the spirit and the worse ones into the carnal. Spirit is associated with the higher, divine aspects and awareness, whereas flesh represents material bondage and the forces that limit and obscure spiritual truth. This duality speaks to the internal psychological conflict between higher aspirations and base desires. Politically, It points to the struggle between enlightened governance and materialistic or corrupt forces. Pleroma and Cosmos, fullness versus lack, reality versus illusion. The pleroma, or fullness, contrasts with the cosmos, the material realm often understood as lacking or illusory in Gnostic terms. The complete one glorifies Sophia, the image glorifies truth. The demiurge cast a shadow over the syzygy and the pleroma. The pleroma is the realm of the divine aeons, the spiritual totality beyond physicality, while the cosmos is the created world often subject to ignorance and imperfection. Psychologically, the pleroma is the full realization of the self or consciousness, whereas the cosmos is the fragmented experience in the sensory world. Politically, the pleroma represents ideal order, while the cosmos represents the flawed human polity. The myth's theological and philosophical implications. The myth conveys a cosmos unfolding from an original ineffable deity who exists in perfect unity and silence. From this silence, through a process of emanation and self-revelation, a complex hierarchy of aeons and divine syzygies emerge, including monogenes, the only begotten, limit, the separator and confirmer, and various other divine hypostases. Sophia's fall and the creation of the material world, cosmos, by the demiurge introduce imperfection and suffering, but this is not a final state. The myth posits a process of restoration and reconciliation. Whenever Sophia receives her consort and Jesus receives the Christ and the seeds and the angels, then the pleroma will receive Sophia joyfully, and the all will come to be in unity and reconciliation. This return to unity is the ultimate goal of salvation, emphasizing both a cosmic and personal restoration. Conclusion. The Valentinian myth, rich in metaphor and divine pairs, maps not only a cosmological narrative, but also reflects profound psychological and political truths. The interplay of silence and speech, monad and dyad, Sophia and her consort, Jesus and Christ, spirit and flesh, and Pleroma and Cosmos reveals the complex nature of existence as a tension between hidden mystery and revealed truth, unity and relation, wisdom and order, inner salvation and outer manifestation, spiritual freedom and material bondage, fullness and lack. By understanding these pairs, we gain insight into the Valentinian vision of the divine and human condition, where the spiritual journey mirrors the cosmic process, and salvation is a return to fullness, unity, and divine reconciliation.